Welcome in, grab a seat, and join me courtside as we talk your Miami. I can't even do it, guys. This team stinks so bad right now. They're really hard to watch. They're letting me down. All right, guys. Hey, thanks for joining me for another edition of Miami Heat Basketball Beat. I'm your host, Michael Furley. I want to thank you all so very much for joining me today. Hey, before you get out of here, if you do me a small favor, hit that like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell as we get stuff out after most Miami Heat games, and we're going to try and get even more than that coming out a little bit later here. So anyway, thank you for joining me, guys. We're coming to you just moments after another debacle for your Miami Heat as they lost again, this time to the worst team in the East, the Indiana Pacers. This one wasn't even close. Your Miami Heat lost this one 99-123 on the road. All right, let's get the quick setup for the pregame here with the Miami Heat coming in 7th place in the East at 20-17. Indiana Pacers, like I said, last place in the East at 7-31. I think they ended a 13 or 14 game losing streak with their last victory they had just the other night. So they were feeling good, but nonetheless, they got that win out of the way. Let's get back to the losing Indiana Pacers. And no, they couldn't do it. They blew us out tonight. All right, again, the setup for the pregame here, we had Tyler Herro was back in the starting lineup this time. We were a big hint to this as their game against the Chicago Bulls that ended up being postponed had Tyler Herro in the pregame starting lineup. Even though the game did not start, they've turned in their lineup cards. So this was not a surprise as we had a hint that he was going to start unless Spoelstra knew this game was going to be postponed and really was going to pull a fast one. So you're starting tonight, buddy, but we're not playing. So better luck next time. Anyway, that means they moved Kel'el Ware back to the bench. And Jaime Jaquez was back after missing 2 consecutive games.
Welcome back.
So we essentially were at full strength, guys, against the worst team in the East. What could go wrong? Well, I'll tell you how it went wrong here. The entire team, including Norm Powell, got off to a horrendous start. And after being blown out through the first quarter here, 36-18, Indiana had the lead there, 36-18. And we're going to finish up here with the end of the second half where the Miami Heat missed their first 11 three-pointers in the first half of the game. And Norm Powell made the team's first three-pointer and his first basket with 10.3 seconds left in the first half. That doesn't tell you how this game went. I don't know what else would, as we had no points, no three-pointers. Our best point scorer here was shooting atrocious. We'll show you the final stat line later with his percentage, and it's off the chart, literally on the bottom of the chart on the floor. All right, so at the end of the second quarter at halftime, Miami Heat was down 45-61. However, they did outscore the Pacers by 2 points in that third period. If only, who was it? Frank Vogel was talking about winning quarters, we win the game. Well, right now we are 1-1 in quarters, but we are down by 16 points. All right, our halftime scores, Powell only had 4 points on only 1 3-point basket, added with a free throw. Kel'el Ware only had 2 points. Adebayo had 8 points, but again with a poor shooting percentage. Wiggins was lively with 7 points, but kind of just here and there. Herro had 10 points as your leading scorer going into halftime. Nikola Jovic had 2 points. Larson on 3 points, all from free throws, none of them from a field goal made. Jaquez came in doing what he normally does, was shooting around 50% of that time, but he was getting to the basket, got 8 points in the first half. And Davion Mitchell only took 1 shot and had 1 point from a free throw that he made. All right, now let's get back into the third quarter where I really thought we were going to turn this one around, guys. But it did not happen. Well, let's see. Let's give you the tease that I had as I was watching this game. All right, coming out of the third quarter with 10:45, Bam Adebayo makes a one-handed hook pass all the way down to the baseline to a cutting Herro down the baseline for a reverse layup. That looked good. We had Wiggins being very bouncy, getting offensive rebounds and putting one back in a crowd. Not only this, as we're starting to shrink the lead from the 16 very big, we're now about down by 10 points or so. Pascal Siakam picks up his 4th foul with 9:35 left in the third. Then Herro comes right back down to make a 3-pointer. Wiggins gets a put-back dunk this time on an offensive rebound where he didn't catch it. He didn't dunk it off the catch. He went up, caught it, landed, then jumped up again to dunk over a couple players in the crowd there. And then the Heat got it all the way down to 7-point deficit. At 8:36 left here, we got it down. We were down 56-63. We were really getting offensive rebounds and putbacks, like I mentioned, with Wiggins. Herro finally made a three-pointer. A couple nice passes from Bam. Bam made a couple field goals as well, including a three-point play. And it looked like we were going to get this one going here, but this is where it turned around for the worse as the Pacers finished from there on out the last 8 minutes of the third quarter on a 36-16 run. They scored 36 points in 8 minutes against your Heat, ballooning the lead back up now to 17 rather. At Indiana had 99, while Miami had 72. They outscored us by 11 on that one. No, we're down by 20, not 17, 27. That's what I thought. We're down by 27 at the end of the third period here. That 36-16 run really blew it. 36-16 run really blew it open. And I've got a play I want to show you later, which is just emblematic of this entire effort tonight, but we'll save that for the end. All right, most of our starters did not play in the fourth quarter. Once again, Adebayo did not see the court in the fourth quarter. Neither did Powell. Herro played a few minutes into the fourth quarter here before they pulled him out as well. So we had, and then Ware played most of the fourth quarter again. They're really punishing the guy out there on these games that we're not doing good, and he's not getting shots up. I don't know if that's an offensive issue. I know a lot of his shots come from offensive rebounds, so you could maybe blame some effort here, but honestly, I don't see it. I think he's giving as much, if not more, than anyone else on the team. He just has a weird way of showing it because he's a big guy, so he looks lethargic. But when you actually see how fast he's going from one end of the court to the other, you see he's not dogging it here. So should he learn some more technique? Yes, but I don't think you should keep punishing the kid here. He played most of the fourth quarter, and then we finished up here with Myron Gardner, Drew Smith. Neither of those guys played in the first half. We had Yakachonis, Kashad Johnson got in there, and I forget who the fifth one was. So those guys were running up and down. Kashad Johnson had a couple dunks in transition, but they really couldn't get the game that much closer. As your final, we lost by 24. Going into the fourth period, we were down by 27. So we shaved off another, what do we do? We shaved off another 3 points there. We outscored them 27-24. So guys, this game is 2-2 in terms of quarter scoring. This is going to overtime. Oh, nope, we lost by 24. What a stupid way to measure a game. All right, so yeah, Indiana kills us tonight, 123-99. Let's get to the final heartbreaking stats for your more well-known players here. Tyler Herro finished with 21 points on 8 of 19 shooting, making only 1 of 8 three-pointers, a -14 tonight. That sounds pretty bad, a -14, but we're going to get some players with worse plus minuses a little bit further down the line. We have Bam Adebayo, 13 points, came alive for about 3 minutes in the third period, and that was it. Shot 5 for 13. Another poor output here again of 40% shooting or less for a big man. Had 9 rebounds, however, but he was a -23. Jaquez finished with 12 points, 5 of 13 shooting. Started about 50% when he was going to the basket in the first half, and in that second half, he was doing what he does, kind of spins, trips, gets bottled up, kind of throwing him as he's falling down. So he really struggled in the second half here, finished with 12 points, 5 of 13 shooting, had 3 turnovers on those spins in the crowd, and Jaquez finished with a -22. Then we have Wiggins here. I mentioned I didn't really watch too much of the first half as I was coming in from an event here, but Wiggins finished with 11 points, 5-8 shooting, a respectable, in this case, -8. Like I said, I didn't see the first half where he had 7 points, but I saw both of his baskets in that little bit of that spurt run in the beginning of the third period. Like I said, they're both offensive rebounds in a crowd and put right back up in a crowd, including one that was a dunk over 2 players. So really that's all you're really asking Wiggins to do is fill in the gaps and attack the basket with his athleticism, going for rebound stuff. He did that. I didn't notice him having any turnovers tonight, although it wasn't worth noting here. But again, Wiggins finished with a -8 in only like 17 or 18 minutes. This was the big stinker. Again, he wasn't the only one. Norm Powell, 6 points. He didn't play the fourth quarter, like I mentioned. 2 for 12 shooting from the field and 1 for 7 for 3. 4 turnovers as well for Norm Powell and a -22. He's been shooting so hot. You can't shoot 60% for 3 for whatever stretch you do and not have the opposite 20% shooting kind of thing here. So it's about where he was today. About 18% from the field, and even worse from that from 3. So he was on bought time in terms of having a stinker. Unfortunately, it came in this game against a team that was should have been easier to beat. Nikola Jovic finished with 4 points on 1 of 6 shooting, a -12. 0 assists for Jovic here. Only 1 rebound. He did only have one turnover, but don't worry, we're going to show it to you. All right. Pelle Larsson, 4 points, all of them free throws, always missing a free throw. He went to the free throw line quite a bit to get those 4 points. Only took one official shot, 0 for 1 for Pelle Larsson. Kel'el Ware. This stat line is going to be bad, but also there's going to be some positives here, or at least excuses to be made for Kel'el Ware. All right, Kel'el Ware, 2 points. Ouchie, ouchie. On only 1 of 2 shots. He did only have 3 rebounds, and he played most of the fourth quarter, only got 1 rebound in that up and down affair in the fourth quarter. And he was a team best -5 of the guys who played 18 minutes or more. So I don't know what that means. He wasn't playing good out there, but he wasn't getting the ball at all. And some of that could be him having a nose for it. And a lot of times I've showed you some of these highlights where his teammates don't know how to look for this guy. And it seems pretty easy to me sitting on the couch looking down at the camera here, but he looks wide open to me all the time. And today they tried to throw him a couple lobs, and they threw him off the backboard, and they threw him off the rim. They were just awful passes, even when they were looking for him. And then Davion Mitchell, last time he shot an awful percentage, like 1 for 10 or 11. Today he shot 0 for 1, only got 1 shot up to have only 1 point where he made a free throw in the first half there. Finished with 2 turnovers. That's not too bad, but only had 1 assist, and he too was a -7. It seemed like if you were not on the court a lot today, you were at a better plus-minus than the people who played in those first 3 quarters. But Davion Mitchell is really falling off right now, guys. It's upsetting in terms of what we think his value might be now or in the future. All right, let's get to some team totals here. Miami finished with 19 turnovers and only 17 assists. That's pretty bad. That's a worse than 1-to-1 ratio when you want to be at least 2-to-1 as a team in terms of assists to turnovers here. So awful. Not only would I turn the ball over and not scoring off passes, it shows you here they went 4 of 30 from downtown. Oh my. That's like 12.5%, guys. That is awful. On the other side of the court, though, Indiana Pacers had 17 turnovers, and they went 17 of 40 from downtown. That's about 42.5%. So not a crazy great shooting day for the Pacers, but very good shooting day, and they got most of those makes in a big-time stretch in that 36-16 run to really blow the game open in the late third quarter. Andrew Nembhard here was the best player on the court at 29 points, shot 10 of 16, 4 of 7 from downtown. He had 9 assists and 0 turnovers. I'm not sure if Davion Mitchell was guarding him straight up or not, but this was not an off night for Andrew Nembhard. This was not a career night. He's had some good games, but this is like a perfect game. 9 assists and 0 turnovers. For someone to handle the ball that much, you can't ask for anything better than that. All right, so the final outcome here is you have Miami Heat falls down to 20-18. They have now 2 losses in a row. Lost 3 of their last 4. Those 3 losses have all been by at least 20 points, if not at least 18 points and even more. So they're really struggling after that Detroit victory a little over a week ago. Indiana Pacers improve to 8-31. That's 2 wins in a row for a team who's on a 14-game losing streak. They also give Rick Carlisle his 1,001st career victory with his Heat over the Heat. Yay, congratulations, guys. That's really way good to go. And essentially, everyone struggled completely here. Seems to coincide with Herro playing. I don't blame Herro, but it's just a craziest coincidences now. At least the 4th game where he's one of his first games back where the team scores less than 100 points and they just are playing awful. Again, I do not blame him. I think it's just the craziest coincidence. I'm not saying he's the best fit for the team, but he is not that much of a detractor from what they should be doing here. All right, like I mentioned before, I've got only one highlight. This one is a low light, and we're going to show you here. It's our favorite transition ball handler and very stable athletic person, Nikola Jovic. Special. All right, so this is Jovic coming down from the right wing. He's driving the basket. Wait, he just stopped dribbling when he got to the free throw line. That was not a behind-the-back pass, people. He just stopped dribbling when he got to the free throw line. It's like, no, I don't want the ball anymore. There's people there. I don't want to dribble where there's people. Excuse me. Is that not the most disgusting thing you've ever seen? Oh, there's someone there. I can't dribble where there's people. I don't know what game he thinks he's playing. You can dribble while there's people. You're allowed to do it. All right, guys, let's get rid of this score here. We want to start talking about some bigger pictures because this game was just atrocious. So let's get this score out of here. All right, let's talk about what we're really interested in. How are we going to make this team better? And before we can figure out what we can do to make our team better, we'll discuss what some of those options are. We got to see what the market is set right now for these things that might improve your team. So let's start out with a trade that took place just earlier this week. Just to set the stage here, we had the Atlanta Hawks trade away Trae Young to the Washington Wizards for Corey Kispert and for CJ McCollum. CJ McCollum is on an expiring contract at a little over $30 million. He's 34 years old, so there's really no value to trade for that money here unless you want to resign a veteran for less than they're making now. But you could have done that in the offseason because the odds are he's not going to be re-signed by the Wizards. So he's going to be an unrestricted free agent. So to make this trade is not for that player there. The only player that's under control for multiple years is Corey Kispert, making just under $14 million. So essentially, the Atlanta Hawks traded Trae Young, and to get off that salary, they thought that was part of the deal, to get rid of Trae Young and the value to take on Corey Kispert. That's what they just did. They traded Trae Young for Corey Kispert. I don't know if that's the right value. I don't know what you guys think about Trae Young. Hey, let me know in the comments what you guys think about Trae Young's value. I'm not a Trae Young fan, but I think he's worth more than Corey Kispert. So let's just see. So they sent out $46 million from Trae Young and received back in the salaries from the Wizards. Atlanta Hawks got 44. They're taking $44 million back, so about a $2 million savings in terms of what their salary cap sheet is here. They get off of and they get an expiring contract that won't be on the books next year at all. And then, Wizards. So just to show you again what they got for that. So what could we have done? Listen, I'm not a Trae Young fan. I don't know if I really want him, but for that price, for someone to the equivalent of Kispert and expiring money, let's see what we could have packaged up to get there. And the big I'll tell you some names here real quick, and then I'll tell you the sticking point and why I don't know why Atlanta made the trade when they did. All right, so we need to get up to 44.5 million, because like I've mentioned before on this show, the Miami Heat will not go over the luxury tax this year. They've got 1.6 million of room, which means to acquire Trae Young's $46 million, they were not going to send out any less than $44.5 million. That's just how it's going to go. They're not going to take on more than that 1.6. And if they trade more players than they receive, they'll be under the roster requirement. They'll have to sign someone anyway, which would go into that same buffer you have for your luxury tax line. So essentially, you're going to trade for $45 million, $45.5 million, and that's what you're trying to do in a trade for the Heat's perspective at the lowest cost. Let's see what those players might equal up to here. So the first name that pops in my head here, the player we all want to get rid of only because he's not going to play, so it's just free money to trade. Terry Rozier's making $26.5 million, which means we need about $19 million more to do the same kind of trade that that the Wizards did end up doing as they gave up just two players. So Rozier, now he's not actually playing, so you might have to give someone a little better than Corey Kispert, but you're just trying to find money here. The only person that makes sense financially is Norman Powell. I'm not trading Norman Powell for Trae Young. Although you can make a case for his one's way younger, but nonetheless, I would not be looking to do that. You could package two more players if you wanted to go Davion Mitchell and Simone Fontecchio, but you can't do that because Davion Mitchell is not trade eligible for another 8 days or so, 5 days, till the 15th of January, which is why I think the hastiness of Atlanta might have cost them some other deals here. But so you can't do that. So if you want to do Terry Rozier and Simone Fontecchio, then you got to add two more of the young guys, a Jovic and a Kasper Yakuchonis. Maybe Drew Smith might make the cut here. But now you're trading 5 players for one player, which means you have to sign 4 people off the street. So you can't do that either. They could not make this, whether you like it or not, and I'm not saying you should or shouldn't, the Heat could not make a trade for Trae Young right now in this part of January unless they traded Tyler Herro and Terry Rozier. Yeah. Then they could have taken 2 players back because they would have given up way too much money. But essentially, that means we're giving up Tyler Herro for Trae Young when the other team just gave up Kispert for Trae Young. So we couldn't make this trade right now. The only way to do it is to wait to the 15th or later and trade Davion with Rozier to get such a similar contract mixed in with some money from Fontecchio. So we're not going to make a trade for this. Now let's talk about the new rumors out there, guys. Sorry, I'm rambling a little bit. Just kind of a consciousness here. All right, let's talk about the trades we have been hearing about now and why the Heat probably will not make a trade until January 15th because that unlocks a lot more salaries that they can group together. We got Ja Morant out there. We saw the report from Shams, very similar to how the report came out for Trae Young just this past week here, as it was like pretty much saying sides are accepting the fact that people might be looking for trade options, or however they said it, a little different than that. But nonetheless, they're aware that each other want to look for options and how they can get value back for for a trade. And when they did that for Trae Young, the trade happened less than 2 days later. So this is very interesting on that, in the timing. We got Ja Morant. Do you guys want Ja Morant? That's a very fair question to ask. Very similar to Trae Young, except a little younger, a lot more athletic, and actually makes a little less money right now. So what kind of players could you bundle up for Ja Morant, even if you want to do it? Again, our priority here, if possible, is to trade Rozier at $26.5 million. That means we need to put $13 million more out, give or take, which means, again, we can't do the Ja Morant trade until we get Davion Mitchell eligible. So you could trade Rozier and Davion Mitchell with someone like a Drew Smith or something like that, or a Kashad Johnson even, to get Ja Morant. Just keep in mind you have to sign enough players to have a minimum roster. But nonetheless, so you could do that. What I just say there? So Rozier. Oh, you need the young guys. You could just Fontecchio. No, that's too much to have all three. So you could even do Terry Rozier, Fontecchio with like Jovic or Yakachonis. Is that right? Yeah, you could get there in a Ja Morant trade without Davion. Rozier, Fontecchio, and Jovic is right about there. But again, you have to take back another player. So either send, or for that, they're going to want to pick because you're not giving them anything. You're giving them just Nikola Jovic. You got an expiring Rozier, expiring Simone Fontecchio. So that'd be Jovic and a pick for Ja Morant. Unless they want to send Contavious Caldwell-Pope, as he's making $21 million. Now you're at that's $60 million. Now let's get a bigger trade here. We take Morant and Caldwell-Pope, which means we don't have to give any picks if we give them Tyler and Wiggins. No, you could pretty much Tyler, Rozier, and then one of the young guys. So Tyler, Rozier, and let's just say Jovic for Contavious Caldwell-Pope and Ja Morant. What do you guys think about that one? If you're trying to get off Herro, that's what you're going to do it for. If you want to keep Herro, you could probably do some sort of thing with Wiggins and another young guy. Just shows you how hard it is there. But you can get Ja Morant for Nikola Jovic, Simone Fontecchio, and Norm Powell, but not Norm Powell, Terry Rozier. But then you have to give them a pick. If you wait another few days, you can put Davion Mitchell in there and not give them a pick, I think. And you get that money a little easier for them as well. So that's my options here. The other one is Giannis. He makes $54 million, which means you have to send out 53.5, give or take here. You could do that with Herro and Rozier. That's actually, that's more. So we got to take less back, which the Heat definitely want to do. You probably take one of their young guys for one of your young guys. And then all your picks, of course, if you're getting Giannis. So you get Giannis pretty easy for Herro and Rozier. And anyone making $4.5 million or less, which Jovic, Jaquez, Ware, Yakachonis. I like that. Of course, you're going to throw your picks when you're giving away, trying to get Antetokounmpo. So we're not even worried about that. We're not trying to save one of the two to put two somewhere else. This is all of them. So we're sending out all of our picks, and we can send out almost nothing to get, not nothing, Tyler Herro. So it's Tyler Herro for Giannis, essentially. All right, I know I'm rambling there a little bit, guys. Just like I said, this game was so disheartening. I was trying to look at what we can do to improve. And when I realized the sticking point of Davion Mitchell not being trade eligible until the end of this week, so it's coming where our full options will be open. Until then, I would sit back and not worry about Heat not making any moves because they're still going to wait 4 or 5 days to have their full complement of options here. All right, guys, with that being said, thank you so much for joining me. Don't forget, you can hit that like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell. All of that is much appreciated. With that being said, guys, may you please make your free throws. May you please beat teams with the worst record in your conference. May your coaches' challenges be successful, and we will see you next time.